Okay guys, welcome to the Talking News. Push subscribe and like right this moment, guys, and also push that little notification bell if you want notifications. So this is a request. I'm going to go ahead and do this before I forget to do it anymore. I spent hours researching this. This is a news story for me, so if I do not have things perfect, forgive me. This story is on Carly Gusay. She is out of California. She has been missing 7 months now, and the story is a bit odd, and I'm going to go over that with you, at least, my research. Carly was 16 years old at the time, and this happened around October of 2018. Carly attended a party with her boyfriend on October 12th of 2018, the night before she went missing. And according to, we don't know what the facts or how they got these facts, they suspect that she was smoking pot at the party and she grew aggravated. She called her stepmother, Melissa Gusay, to meet her at a certain location or at the party. So Melissa drove to the party to pick up her stepdaughter, and she wasn't at that location. Somehow she found Carly running down a dark road where she picked her up. She said Carly was acting very suspicious, scared and paranoid, where she was moving around seat to seat inside the vehicle. They arrived home about 9 p.m. where they ate dinner, and Carly said, her lettuce looked like it was devil's lettuce. The stepmom, Melissa, said that she taped Carly and the way that she was acting by audio recording so that she could show her, the effects drugs had on her. She is planning to show it to her, I believe, the next day. Zach is the father of Carly, and he had had a few beers and just come home to relax. And he seen Carly and Melissa walk in. He said that she was acting very paranoid, and she was staying in the corner in some part of the house. I'm not certain where. Anyways, they went to bed, and I'm not sure if Melissa, I swear she says that she lays down with Carly, and that's around 5:45, but in some articles it says that, she slept separately. But regardless, she went back to check on Carly, and she was gone, and that was, sometime around 6 a.m. Now, some neighbors, there's 3 witnesses that say that they seen Carly. She was wearing a white t-shirt, dark sweatpants, and Van white tennis shoes. And one seen her at 6:30 a.m. and another said they seen her at 7:30, and I'll give you more details on that as we move on. And ever since then, they have tried to find this girl, and they've had no luck. It's been 7 months now. She's had her birthday just passed, and I believe it was May 13th. She would have been 17 years old. No signs of Carly, nothing. So what I do want to talk about is I did check out an audio on Gracie, what's her last name? Nancy Grace. I don't usually watch her, but I wanted to get some information on Carly because I was having to do this quickly. So during the Nancy Grace interview, they kind of, they interview Melissa, the stepmother, and Zach, the father. And they ask her, what was Carly afraid of? They were hearing that she was afraid of stuff, and they said that Carly said, "I don't know what I'm afraid of." Nancy Grace speaks with the stepmother for a time, and then she asks, her a question about the audio video clip, and ask her, what was said on that. And she said that her and Carly were talking on one of the audio clips, and it's about 8 minutes 45 seconds, where Carly asked Melissa to spend a night with her. Then they talk. She says she asked her to paint her toes, and then she asked to paint her toes. She wanted to write. She wanted to color. She wanted to read the Bible. She wanted to do a lot of things. Then Nancy Grace asked her, said, well, have you turned that in to the police? And Melissa says yes. They showed it to them. They asked her, they said, was the door locked when you went to sleep that night? And the couple says, no, we don't lock our doors. Then they said, well, do you have a dog? And they said, yes, we have a dog. But the dog did not bark or act weird that night. So they do not believe that there was somebody that come into the house and took Carly. And again, they asked her, when was the last time you seen her? And Melissa says, when we went to bed, and that was 5:45 a.m. Nancy Grace asked them, they said, well, did you notice her clothes missing or anything like that? And the mother says, she has so many clothes, I really wouldn't know what was missing. I have a lot of kids, and so I wouldn't know. And Nancy Grace goes on to say, well, if it was my kids, I know what they're wearing, basically kind of suggesting, she's not doing a very good job as a mother. She finally admits that the one thing she did notice that was missing was a pair of white Vans. And Nancy Grace says, well, what they're wearing, their clothes, it's critical to know. But when you're going to bed at night, I can tell you right now, it's probably difficult to pay attention to what she was wearing, especially if she's acting odd and you're exhausted. I mean, here you are at 5:45 in the morning. I doubt you're paying attention to what anybody's wearing, but Nancy Grace is telling her, I'm a parent. I know what my kids wear to school. That's because I lay them out. Well, yeah. And then she goes on to say, just kind of give them a hard time, it seemed like to me, instead of focusing on Carly. Definitely, she did not give a description of what her kids were wearing at night. And she probably laid those clothes out and would know anyways. But this is a 16-year-old we're speaking about. How many of us are laying our 16-year-olds' clothes out? None of us. I get a little upset with Nancy Grace sometimes. But anyways, so when she woke up to check on her, she was gone. She says that Carly was seen at 6:30 a.m. walking west on their road. And then there was 2 other witnesses that seen her, and then one other she calls a wooder that seen her, Carly, at 7:30 in the morning standing on Highway 6. They asked her where they think, she knew where she was headed, and they said they really didn't know. And the family lives about 10 or 12 miles south. Is it north of Bishop, I believe? And they say that the area around there, it's a huge open area. It's a very small town. So here's our tips. So here's a few things that we got. We have that she was moving toward Highway 6 or just standing on Highway 6. So the dad says that when they describe where they're at or where she might have been heading, maybe south on Highway 6, because that would be in a direction of the boyfriend in the high school that she attended. But the truth of the matter, nobody knows which direction she went. Now, there was some tips that she might have been seen at some gas station, but we're not sure which. They asked the parents, the stepmother, what what was her state of mind? What was she suicidal? And the mom says no, she was just scared. So all three parents believe that there is foul play involved with this child that's missing. We also hear that, the waters in the area are really muddy. They're also hoping that they don't lose any physical evidence so that this case doesn't go cold. But to me, this interview was more about Nancy Grace acting like she was this perfect parent, and she was down in the parents of Carly. Now, the bio mom was not there when the girl disappeared. That's because she lives in Nevada. But it is true what Nancy Grace does say, that that Melissa, the stepmother, and Zach, the father, were kind of running from the details because they were asking, what, was she acting like? And the parents just kind of seemed to be afraid, in my personal opinion. They were afraid to answer anything. I think they felt like they were on trial. It just seems to me they were judging the parents. And as I listen to Nancy Grace speak, when the parents did try to speak to Nancy Grace, she just ran all over them. She wouldn't listen to them. Now let's talk about the fact that they said that the child was smoking pot at this party. Well, it doesn't sound like she was smoking pot to me, unless it was some weird reaction that I've never seen. Usually, if you're smoking pot and it's in, where you inhale it, it only lasts an hour or two. This was not the case. So she picked her up at 9 p.m. and at 5:45 that morning she was still acting paranoid. So something isn't right with that. Now, if you were to eat marijuana, it can stick around longer, but still, this doesn't make sense. I'm thinking there's a possibility it was some other drug, probably a very mind-altering, or possibly bath salts. Bath salts have really had some negative effects on a lot of kids, and that's something we should be paying more attention to. It says here that bath salts can last, much longer than marijuana. So I don't know that much about bath salts, but I do know that marijuana usually, isn't that severe. So let's talk about the biological mother. So Lindsay Fairley, I hope I said that right, said that Carly loved movies like 16 Candles and Grease. She was a very light girl and very popular. She says she misses her daughter's quick wit and quick humor. Farley lives in Nevada, and even though she hasn't seen her daughter before she went missing in October, she refuses to speak about her daughter in past tense. The biological mother says there's definitely a red flag in this case, but they feel like they're not getting a lot of help from police. So let's go over how this girl was acting. Carly was acting very paranoid. She was hiding in the corner, like I mentioned earlier. She admitted that she had smoked pot. Like, to me, it doesn't sound like it. Her dad says that she was acting very nervous and scared. She was scared of the phone. He said she was scared of us, her parents, and them being around her. According to her parents, she would flip-flop like a roller coaster. One moment she was fine, and then one minute she wasn't. She would say things like she loves us. And is she okay? I'm not sure what that means. But she would stand in the corner afraid. She wasn't She was afraid she wasn't safe. And Nancy Grace asked her one time, so, you know, what was she afraid of? And the parents said that she said, "I don't know," as I mentioned before. Now, her boyfriend has been questioned. I haven't had time to go into all that, but and I will later, especially as I get to know the story. The boyfriend says that the phone was by her bed, but the parents say no, the phone was not by her bed, but in fact the phone was in the kitchen, and it was in the kitchen the entire time. So what could have happened to this girl? Well, I have heard, you know, several things that are not confirmed, that she was wanting to read the Bible and go to church. So where I would have looked is at a local church nearby first. I also would have tried to pick up security cameras, but there's no security or surveillance footage anywhere near where she's been, according to police and investigators or whatever information I can find. So really, this case is kind of cold. So when you ask police about it, they're saying, you know, we're not going to give any details. But the fact of the matter is, they don't know anything. They have no clue. They've really not done a very good job. And like I mentioned before, if you have a missing person, you need to address it ASAP. Get on it right then and there. Otherwise, you lose a lot. And there's another option, the fact that she was standing on the side of the highway. There are more perverts in this world than I care to think about. And I remember being a little girl, and all of us women at one time or another have experienced running into a pervert. There are that many out there. There is a huge possibility that she was picked up. And there could be, you know, a chance that she's still alive somewhere. Maybe captive. And I've heard of bath salts sometimes affecting some people for a very long period. So there is no telling. Maybe since there's such a vast area there of mountain ranges, open area, and desert, it's not a desert like you're thinking. It's what you call a high desert area. So she could have got lost somewhere. I mean, if she was standing on the side of the road, maybe she went off into the brush. After all, you guys, we are dealing with California. It's one of the highest crime areas. Cartel, gangs. It's sex trafficking. So there is a huge possibility that she could still be alive. So I'm glad I found time to get the story out for that request. And I want to ask you guys to either take her picture and tell her story, or share this video. Let's try to get her out there and known. Make sure, maybe, you know, maybe we can find her, guys. You never know. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this story, and you know, I want to send blessings to this family. I'm wishing that they do find her, because she is a beautiful young lady. She looks like she was a good person. People loved her, and we're just hoping for the best. And I have great subscribers and people who watch my videos. They're always so kind. They're good people, and I appreciate them, and they usually share videos oftentimes, or they'll share the picture and help get the information out. So let me say thank you, guys, and I'll see you soon.